watching Fox Sports Net.
We are misty with watercolored memories of 1984 as we welcome you to downtown Detroit and to the Tigers pregame show served up by Mike's Hard Lemonade. There you see some heroes from 1980. Well, wait a minute. Hang on a second. If we're going to talk 1984 and we're going to do a television show talking about everything that happened in 1984, perhaps we should take you back to what television looked like in 1984. So let's go ahead and, through the magic of television, take you back 20 years ago this summer. This is what people in Michigan were watching. They didn't even have Mike's Hard Lemonade back in 1984. Boy, they wish they did. So much history attached to the Tigers. Perhaps one day heroes from '84 will join the others who have already been cast in silver out in center field. And it's a festive atmosphere as we celebrate the 20th anniversary of the last true baseball glory in downtown Detroit. I'm John Keating, and welcome to the Mike's Hard Lemonade Tigers pregame show. It's a weekend in which we harken back. Harkening is one of our favorite things that we do here, and as we begin, let's hear from the Tiger manager. He's alongside our special correspondent tonight, one Eli Zaret.
Well, Sparky's with me now. Sparky, for the first 10 minutes of the show, I've been gushing about what a significant, great game this was. How great was this ball game? Have I been overreacting?
No, I think, Eli, however you described this game, and you did a good job. I thought it was one of the best baseball games I've ever been in. And in fact, in my 15 years, you know, you see great games. This is definitely one of them.
To us.
Where did 20 years go, anyway? The surprising thing about that is that Sparky wasn't looking at the dirt as he was answering your question. We're joined by Eli Zaret, and when I was a kid, I'd look at the TV and say, when I grow up, I want to be just like Eli Zaret, and sadly, I might have.
We should see a picture of you from 1984 before we're
done. Yeah, I think they have one ready to roll at some point.
Actually, that interview came on September 8th. They've been dogged all season long by the Blue Jays, and they finally, Dave Bergman hit a big home run in the 10th inning, and they finally put the Blue Jays out of the picture. That's why we were gushing about that.
Well, obviously, this weekend is very important to you, and this team has been very important to you. In fact, you wrote a book, 84, the last of the great Tigers. You got to know these guys very, very well. What was special in your estimation about this group?
I think the most special thing about the season, first of all, was that the excitement lasted 7 months. We've seen the Pistons where nobody expected them to win here in 2004, and they turn on the Jets at the end to do it. This team started out 9-0. Jack Morris pitched a no-hitter 4 games in. So, and back then, it was just the 35-5 start just galvanized everybody in the state. That's Morris getting the no-hitter on April 7th.
In Chicago.
In Chicago.
Right.
And then, with all the excitement, they only had one really new addition to the team. That was Darrell Evans. They come back home. This is opening day. A couple of days later, and Evans, in the second pitch he sees as a Tiger, hits a 3-run homer. So it was magical from the beginning, on and on and on. They went 18-2 in April, and here they are in California. This is Morris striking out Reggie Jackson. They went 35-5, still the record start. There's a lot of pressure on them after that to sustain, because how can you blow a 35-5 start? And don't forget, those pesky Blue Jays never went away.
Well, no one is, exactly. No one was going to keep up that pace, and the Toronto Blue Jays were one of the better teams in baseball. They just weren't as good as the Tigers that year, and over the course of the rest of the season, Tigers sort of hanging around 500, having put 30 games above 500 on their resume.
That's right, and there was time and time again, they get an 8-10 game lead, then it would slip back. They'd have to, pull it together again. People say, are the Tigers blowing it? Are they losing their whatever they have? And here's Lance Parsons. They played 6 games in 3 days. That was his home run in
Boston,
Toronto, in Boston, I'm sorry, in Boston. This is Bergman against Toronto, the famous 13-pitch at-bat on old home video. The last pitch, finally off Roy Lee Jackson, this was on June 4th, was when he golfed one into the upper deck, and that became, I think, the most significant at-bat of the season, at least in people's memories.
Yeah.
That's it there. Sparky called it the greatest at-bat he'd ever seen.
As did Ernie Harwell. Well, there are...
and by the way, this is the home run in Toronto on September 7th. Bergman again in the 10th inning that finally put the Blue Jays away for good.
Yeah, and the Blue Jays believed till that point that somehow they were going to reel in the Tigers because they were nipping at their heels all summer long. Well, we remember well the names on this team, just terrific players. There weren't any Hall of Famers, at least not yet, on that team, but this was a series of terrific baseball players.
Well, there was, and they were just coming into their prime. The 68 Tigers, who were the reigning heroes at the time.
Sparky's in the Hall of Fame, God bless him, sure.
Yes, and I think Jack Morris and Alan Trammell and Lou Whitaker and Lance Parrish are guys that deserve some votes for the Hall of Fame. They had great leadership. Sparky was a leader. They had great strength up the middle. I mean, imagine Parrish, a Hall of Fame caliber catcher. You had Chet Lemon in center field, a fabulous fielder in his own right, and contributed well offensively also. And you had the greatest double play combination you'll see in a moment.
There's Chet
Trammell
Lemon
and Whitaker. And they also had some great role players, too. You know, the Garbays and the Rusty Kuntzes had seasons you could never imagine. And Trammell and Whitaker, obviously the greatest double play combination of all time. And they got Willie Hernandez right before the season, which was really, I think, that keyed everyone that this is going to be a crazy year when they made that huge trade for a guy nobody ever heard of that only won the Cy Young and the MVP in the same season.
Well, you're a big deal here. You're going to sign some autographs, as I understand.
We're signing some books up in the concourse, and people are taking them around to see the players, and it's a lot of fun. It's been 20 years, and people say, do you believe 20 years has gone by? Yes, I do. It feels like 20 years to me. As you can see from the open, it looks like 20 years to me.
All right, in the interest of full disclosure, because we got a chance to see how you looked in
here we
1984, do we have that, men? We're going to chance. They're looking if they can find it.
Well, look hard.
And no one really should be subjected. Oh, there we go. I had friends. Why didn't anybody tell me I looked like that?
Isn't that something?
For the love of God, lose the mustache. What's the matter with you? All right, Eli, happy anniversary to you as well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And enjoy the festivities. Okay. I'm sure you're going to see a lot of old friends as well this weekend.
Indeed.
Eli Zaret, one of a kind in the city of Detroit. We're just getting started on this special pregame show. We'll continue to recall 84 as we roll on. Still to come, joined live by a couple of your World Series heroes. Willie Hernandez won a Cy Young Award and an MVP, and won for Detroit a World Championship. We'll take you through the process of winning the gold trophy with all those gleaming pennants on it. Later, we'll catch up with Darrell, one of the final pieces of Sparky's championship puzzle. But up next, we single out our former broadcasting colleague who was Sparky's pet project. We remember Kirk Gibson a bit after this. The Tigers pregame show on Fox Sports Net is brought to you by Mike's Hard Lemonade, hardly the usual, make it Mike's, and by Rico. How well do you copy, print, fax, scan? Rico. It was his 9th year in baseball when he found his way to the city of Detroit. Willie Hernandez had already established himself as a pretty good relief pitcher, but he became great when he became a Detroit Tiger. And Willie Guillermo Hernandez is alongside. It is great to see you. How good does it feel to be back in the town where you shared so much excitement?
Well, I'll tell you what, this is my first time here in the field, and this is beautiful. Well, I don't think it's nothing like a Tiger Stadium. It's a big memories out there. And I'll tell you what, for 6 years now, pitching in that place, I miss it a lot. I know the ball popped real good out there, but I enjoyed it. I had a great time. And I know that Tiger friends, they deserve everything in the world because they're the greatest.
You could have pitched here, though. This is a big place. You would have enjoyed pitching at Comerica.
I tell you what, you know what? It's tough because I play in regular field. I play in Philadelphia. The ball popped real good over there. And that's when I'm coming in and trying to do the best because you have to be tight. Okay,
so before 1984, they tell you you've been traded to the Detroit Tigers. Your immediate reaction was what?
Well, I'll tell you what, I want to get out of Philadelphia organization because they don't give me no credit for anything. And I was struggling. I was struggling with my contracts. I was struggling with the people I was helping to get there, and I didn't enjoy myself at all. So when I came into the Tiger, I know Sparky Anderson was there, and I said, well, I know he's going to give me a chance. He brought me here for one reason, and I believe he asking me he want me to pitch. So he said every day. That's my job. If I pitch every day, I can do something about it.
Were you surprised that you had the success that you had as a Tiger?
Well, I realized that later on. when I see my numbers, when I see the people talking about it, And I enjoyed it. That was one of my best years in baseball history. And I believe the Tiger fans deserve it. And if I can come back again, I do it for them. Believe me.
Well, you're a gentleman farmer now. Do you stay in touch with your former teammates?
Sure. We talk once in a while. The most of the guy I was talking to, it was Aurelio Lopez. You know what happened to him.
Sure.
And that's a long time. I still remember him. He was a great friend.
Senior Smoke,
and,
sure.
Yeah. And I'm being talk with the family. And I love him.
How much were you looking forward to this weekend to get together with these guys who you won a championship
They're
with?
waiting for me out there. Giannis, Grandma, everybody happy to see me, and I'm happy to see them. You know, we have to come in and remember good memories.
Guillermo Hernandez was certainly one of the best relief pitchers that baseball has ever seen. It is great to see you again. We appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you, and God bless you.
God bless you. All right, we're making Guillermo our rejuvenating player because of the success that he enjoyed on behalf of your Tigers back in 1984. He had 32 saves in 33 opportunities. He pitched 140 innings for Sparky Anderson, going 9-3. He entered a ball game with that big hair spilling out of the hat. That screwball unscrewing opposing hitters. The rejuvenating player, brought to you by Just for Men. More than a hair color, it's the Rejuvenator. In a moment, we'll relive the moments of glory in this town. Can it really have been 2 decades ago that the Tigers won it all? The conclusion of a wire-to-wire championship when we come back.
You're watching Fox Sports Net.
It's not going to be recalled as one of the best pieces of music to come out of Motown, but it fit the purpose at the time. These were the days when baseball teams had their own particular song attached to them, and it was on the lips, sadly, perhaps, of most Tiger fans as they watched history being made. On this night, 20 years ago, the Tigers were 52-19. They were 7 games up on Toronto. And had the Blue Jays been in any other division in baseball, they would have been in first place by a large chunk. But the amazing start to the Tiger season was equaled by the amazing end to that season. An ending that we collectively celebrate in Detroit this weekend. At a time in American history when people were dancing to Footloose in stone-washed jeans, watching Dynasty on television, and Ronald Reagan was in the midst of a landslide re-election campaign, the biggest question on everyone's mind was...
Where's the beat?
In Detroit, 1984 was a year of hope. It began in the spring when a gray-haired man named Sparky made a bold prediction.
I hope I'm not putting too much pressure on you, Sparky, but in your 5th year as manager, as you predicted, you were going to pull this team to a world championship, or at least a pennant, or you were going to resign. You got a 2-year extension, fortunately. But I am picking you. The new slogan, Sparky, is "Bless you, boys. This is the year." Now, I hope that's not too much pressure for you to handle, being a first-place contender.
No, Al, I agree with you. I would have to pick us, too. I think that we've moved along now to the point that we really feel real good. We feel like we're sitting in the driver's seat now, and we feel like we're going to be able to go 162 with them. And I'm with you. Put me on your list, and I'll pick us, too.
Bless you, boys. This is the year. Remember the new battle cry, and I'll see you next Saturday.
You'll be saying that so much this year, the fans will get bored.
And as the season began, it did not take long to realize these boys from Detroit were truly blessed. The 84 Tigers finished the first month of the season 18-2. Tied for the best April in Major League history, a 9-game win streak to begin the year, including the Jack Morris no-hitter in Chicago and Dan Petrie's near no-no at home against Cleveland. The boys of 84 continued their dominance in May, setting Major League records for the best 30-game start ever at 26-4, and the best 40-game start with an amazing 35-5 record. In that game in California, the Tigers also set an American League record with 17 straight road wins before finally losing 3 straight in Seattle. Despite the incredible beginning, The Tigers' arch rival, those Blue Jays, were not shaken. Toronto came to town early in June, down only 4.5 games and ready to play a 4-game series in Detroit in front of a national TV audience. With the Tigers trailing, Howard Johnson hit a game-tying 3-run homer in the 7th inning, and then in the 10th, with runners on first and second, Tiger first baseman Dave Bergman stepped to the plate and had what Ernie Harwell and Sparky Anderson have each called the greatest at-bat ever. A 13-pitch battle with Roy Lee Jones that ended with a game-winning golf shot into the upper deck. The Tigers would end June leading the Jays by 10 games. July and August went by with only a slightly better than 500 record, but in September, when the time came to clinch the division, they swept the Blue Jays in Toronto and clinched the AL East on September 18th. The Tigers took those 104 wins into the ALCS against Kansas City, winning Game 1 behind the spectacular play of Alan Trammell.
Offensively, he has tripled, driven in a run, scored a run, and walked. 1 for 1. And hits a high fly ball to deep left field and down into the corner. That's got a chance. He's hit it out of here. A triple and a home run for Alan Trammell. And the Tigers lead 4-0.
Game 2 was an extra inning thriller that ended with an unlikely hero knocking in the game's winning run.
In the gap toward right center field, racing back is Wilson, and it's over his head. Evans comes around third, and he will score, and behind him comes Jones as the Tigers now lead by 2. Johnny Grubb ripping one to the gap for a double in right center, and the Tigers lead 5-3.
As the ALCS moved to Detroit, it seemed destiny was on the side of these Tigers. Milt Wilcox would pitch the game of his career and win that pitcher's duel with Charlie Liebrand. Fan favorite Willie Hernandez would finish the gem for Wilcox, sending the Tigers to their first World Series since 1968.
Popped up in foul ground and playable, and the Tigers win the pennant.
We have great chemistry here. We all love each other. We love to win, and put us all together, and we're very hungry people. We have good talent, but we have great attitude, and when the guys are down, there's always somebody that's brought us back, and it just hasn't been me or Lance Parrish or Alan Trammell. It goes right down the line. There's a new hero every day on this team.
In Game 1 against the Padres, Jack Morris gave up a first-inning 2-run double, and men just flat dominated. But it was Larry Herndon who would give the Tigers the win. The Padres battled back from a 3-run Tiger lead in Game 2 and defeated Dan Petrie, sending the series to Detroit tied at 1. The Tigers scored 4 runs in the 2nd inning of Game 3, including Marty Castillo's 2-run homer, and Wilcox pitched 6 innings of 1-run baseball to lead the Tigers to a 2-1 series lead. In Game 4, an MVP was born. Trammell, already with 6 hits in the World Series, called it the greatest game of his career. 2 2-run homers, accounting for all of the Tiger runs in a victory over the Pods and giving his team a 3-1 lead in the World Series. Finally, the game we will all remember forever. Game 5, Tiger Stadium. Kirk Gibson hit a 2-run homer in the first to give the Tigers a 3-0 lead. The Padres would battle back, but in the 8th, with the Tigers batting and leading 5-4, man on second and third, first base wide open, Padre manager Dick Williams and reliever Goose Gossage made a fateful decision.
Looking over here at you. I've already given him 4 balls. He's bowling 4. He's coming out. I've had good success. You mean you're talking about striking him out? Yeah. He don't want to walk you. Yeah, he don't want to walk you. Now
If he doesn't run good, you can stay back a little further. All right? Go.
The Tigers won the series as Larry Herndon grabbed it and left, and the city collectively celebrated. Kirk Gibson had 27 homers that season, a .282 average. His was one of the faces of this group, a scowl. We'll have more from Comerica Park after this. Tuesday games are 2 for 1 at Comerica. Buy any Tigers Upper Reserve seat for $12 and get the second seat free every Tuesday all season long. Sales rep standing by. Call 248-25-TIGER. We always welcome the chance to talk to a guy who joined the Tigers group rather late, just before the 1984 season, having come over as a free agent. Darrell Evans is alongside. How good is it for you to see your former teammates, who haven't aged a bit, I would add?
No, you're right. We haven't at all. I'll tell you what, the stories are better. We were a lot better players now than we were back then, that's for sure.
Well, I know you played on a lot of teams in a 21-year career. Was this team head and shoulders above the rest?
Well, I think so. You know, obviously with the way the results were, and we kind of look back and go, you know what, we should have won more than one time. I think we all expected that, but, you know, it's such a tough thing to do. But, you know, this team was such a together team. When I got over here, they had all grown up together in the minor leagues, and they had just missed winning in '83, and they were really hungry. It was great from the first day on.
But they needed you, didn't they? Because it was a young group, and you were the guy that sort of calmed them down a little bit.
Yeah, well, and I think I encouraged them that they were really good, and that they continue to play the way they were capable of playing. Things will work out. Sometimes you don't know until you win what it really takes.
Darrell, we appreciate it. He's going to throw out the first pitch. We're going to let him go.
All right.
Enjoy the weekend. Darrell Evans joining us. We'll have much more as the heroes of 1984 are celebrated at Comerica Park as we continue right after this.